Y'all know what time it is. It's another episode of Brothers Got Next, man. We on episode 110, bro. 110
I'm already looking forward to episode 1,000. What's really going on? Episode 1,000. Yo, LeBron's still playing. Like, how's
I
he still?
hope not. I hope not. First of all, and I hope he's not like, going down slow. He's like, he can barely shoot. Like, come on, bro.
Yo, he's still averaging like 20 though. Okay,
Yeah, it might be 20 on like 30% shooting. I'm like, well, yeah, retire, bro.
All right, if LeBron is still playing and averaging 20 points a game, well, by the time we do 1,000 episodes, that's probably 15 years from now. Would you say he's the GOAT?
And what if he still hasn't won championships though? I was like, nah.
I'm like, bro, he's like 60. Come on, dog.
I'm gonna be like, nah, I'm still with Jordan. I probably will still say that because I'm gonna be older too, so I don't really care. I'm like, I don't care what your opinion is. When I'm old, I don't care. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, who cares? What your opinion is? Like, yeah, I'm like, it's my opinion. So,
oh
yeah.
man, that's funny.
But yeah, man. But obviously, you got a lot of traveling coming up next week. I know you're headed to Vegas.
Yeah.
The Bay Area. So next week, guys, we'll be doing. We'll still be doing our show, but Kwab, and we have a special guest live from Vegas coming on, and we'll do our Super Bowl prediction then. We'll give you guys a Super Bowl prediction, talk about the game, what we think is going to happen, and who will be MVP. Like I said, obviously who we think will win the game and everything. So stay tuned for that. Look forward to that for next week. But Kwab, some NFL news dropped this week. We're going to start with your team, your owner, Rooney. What's his first name? Because
Art Rooney.
Okay, because the father was named what?
Dan.
Right. It's so many damn Rooney, so I get them mixed up. So
they're a family. You said there's so many Rooneys.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I don't like to I don't want to get it wrong because I think one time I did say, oh yeah, Dan. When they were like, nah, he's dead, and then I was like, oh damn, my bad. Because I was talking to him like he was still here. So. You know what I mean? I just know him as the Rooneys.
His dad was Dan.
Okay, because I know, from the Rooney Rule and the Roonies. Mm-hmm. Most people just say the Roonies. You know what I mean?
Yep,
but
exactly.
Anyway, Art Rooney came out this past week, and said basically that he would like to sign either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields going into next season. Just give me your thoughts on should they sign either one? Mm-hmm. Should they not sign either one? Should they go in a different direction and maybe look for a quarterback? Now I'm going to let you answer first, but I want to throw some scenarios out to you when you're done answering, because there was some pretty interesting scenarios of how if they were not to sign Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, there may be to get either through the draft or a really good quarterback through a trade. So there was one that was brought up this week. I don't know if you'll be a fan of, but at least you should at least listen to it and hear it out, and then give me your thoughts. But overall, what are your thoughts on, signing either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields going into next season?
It's interesting because, throughout the season, I was an advocate of getting Russell Wilson in there because I thought the passing game was missing. It was going to go. It was going to go to another level with Russell Wilson. When in early parts of Russell Wilson started, he looked really good. He started 6-1. In his first 7 games there. And then, of course, they lost out the rest of the way. But I saw a lot of good things. They were utilizing the middle of the field a little bit more throughout the season. Of course, Russell Wilson's deep ball is still great. But, I think if we're looking ahead to the future and what some of the deficiencies of the Steelers are, meaning like their pass protection is not necessarily that good, I want somebody that's going to be able to move around the pocket and get out of trouble a lot more than Russell Wilson was able to. I'd be okay with them signing Justin Fields. The key is what's the deal, right? And I hate to sound like a broken record with this, but like Baker Mayfield's deal, it gets used as an example a lot, right, of kind of like a shorter term deal, but maybe you make it a fully guaranteed deal. But you still draft the guy. Now, this isn't a very QB heavy draft after Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. So
right.
You may have to go the Cowboys route of maybe taking a flyer on a guy in the 3rd or 4th round like they did with Dak, right? So, yeah, I'd be okay with Justin Fields being the guy next season because I think Arthur Smith's system works best with his skill set. He wants I think, there was a lot of speculation. We never confirmed if it was true, but he never wanted Justin Fields out of the lineup. He thought he gave them the best chance to win. He thought that he ran obviously he didn't audible out of as many plays as Russell Wilson did. He Like I said, he was able to utilize and open up the playbook even more because of his legs. So I think if the OC is on board and you showed some pretty good signs, we weren't blown away about the passing game, but he showed good
Right.
signs. He went 4-1 as a starter. The OC likes you. The fan base is behind you. I think it would make a lot of sense. Now, if they decide to go the route of Russell Wilson, I wouldn't be necessarily mad at that, but they have to really make sure they patch up a couple of other things. Like you got to get the pass protection under control. Whether
Right.
you got to get rid of the all line coach, whether you got to move pieces around. There's a lot of talk about them moving Broderick Jones to from left to right tackle or vice versa. Like they're gonna have to find ways to get creative because it just was not working with him sitting in the pocket. And Russell Wilson takes a while to throw the ball, so I'd be okay with them going with Justin Fields, and that's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that before I get into my, what I think. There was reports saying that the reason why they had put in Russell Wilson, during the season was that the locker room, the players really wanted Russ. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess that was the sentiment going forward is that obviously, and like you said, when Russ first got in, the ball was flying. He was playing well, the album winning. And I think a lot of the locker room felt like Russ gave you guys a better chance to win than with Justin because Justin is very limited with
Mm-hmm.
passing and throwing down the field. Um, so before I get into like I said my thoughts, what is your thinking on that? Like I know you said if the OC's behind you and the fan base, but if listen, the players in the locker room, players tell you everything you need to know, right? It's like a family. So a lot of times, whatever they kind of want, I'm not going to say it's always given to them, but sometimes the coach, especially like a guy like Tom, who's a player's coach, may say, "Well, look, the locker room wants Russ. Yeah, I may want Justin, and I know the OC may want Justin, and Justin may make more sense, right? Like a Baker Mayfield kind of deal, but it sounds like a lot of the players in the locker room were really like, hey, we like to have Russ. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, especially the receivers, right? Because the passing
Right.
game elevated once Russ took over. I think for me personally, though, man, you might disagree with me on this one, but I don't really care what the locker room wants, only because we know how locker rooms are. We know how fan bases are. There's a lot of similarities there. If you're winning games, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
You think cats in the locker room are still going to be mad if you threw Justin Fields in there and he's throwing for 300 yards and it's 6-0? Nah, they're not going to be like, man, we want Russ. They'll be like, yo, hell yeah, this is going great. So I think for me, a lot of that gets silenced based off what's going on the field, just like it does with fan bases, right? For example, we're going to talk a little bit about Brian Schottenheimer a little later in the show.
Right.
Like, D, I know you well. If you guys start off 5-1, 6-0, you're not going to be like, I still don't like this dude. You're like, hey, he's doing good. Like, let's roll with it.
Right.
He's
Well,
doing a
I have
good
my
job.
thoughts later on, Brian. Yeah, I'm going to get
Mhm.
into that. When we get
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
it's all about winning, man. Whatever it takes to win. And I'm a component of let's trust the coaches and let them make the decisions. I understand that you want the locker room like chemistry to be on point, but that's the
Right.
coach.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's also the coach's job. Like that's
Right.
Tomlin's job. And like once again, once you start winning, that's going to change.
Right. Because I was going to get to that point. Like, you also want the locker room chemistry to be well, right? You don't want people
Yeah,
disgruntled. Now, I'm not talking about Pickens and some of the guys that are immature. I'm talking about
yeah.
guys that are
Like leader guys.
leader
Yeah, yeah.
guys. If they're coming and saying, "Hey, I think Russ gives the best chance," you don't want guys also quitting on the team. Like, not I want to say quitting, but you don't want people then trying to start to say like, "All right, well, they ain't listening to us. I'm gonna start
Mm.
drowning out Tomlin and the OC because we don't have the right quarterback in here." Because you know how guys are, like receivers, especially, like if they're not getting the ball after a while, they're like, "Yo, like, yeah, it's obviously look, winning is obviously the ultimate goal, but you know how some of these players are. They want to get theirs too. So it's like, all right, like yeah, I want to win, but I also want to contribute. I don't want to win with Justin Fields throwing for 150 yards and one touchdown and you know what I mean, he runs for like a touchdown, right? Like yeah, that's cool. And then we're really depending on our defense to get it because also the defense is probably going to say something like, okay, so now we have to kind of come in every game and win the game because he's not putting up enough points or not putting up enough yards or whatever. So that's what I was getting to because that was pretty much from reports of what happened in the locker room with the Steelers that basically people were saying like, yeah, Justin Fields is cool with winning, but I think the defense it was a lot of burden on the defense to kind of
Mhm.
be great, be good, be almost perfect every game because we knew Justin Fields' limitations. And I think their thinking was when Russell Wilson came in, he was able to put up points, like, 28 points, 30 points. And it's like, oh, okay, so now with the burden doesn't fall on us. We can kind of play a little bit loose. You know what I mean? We can still play great D, but we don't have to be like, okay, we can only hold a team or try to hold a team to 14 points because Russ is going to be out there scoring points. So that's what I was trying to get to. That's what I was saying. When you think of that dynamic, what is like you're thinking with that, right? Because I know you said, well, you can't really care about what the players think, but you kind of do because
Mhm.
they're playing for the organization. They're in the locker room, like they're there. It's just like any other team. If they're not happy with play calling or how things are going, they're gonna voice that. So you don't want that to kind of ruffle a locker room. I'm not saying, look, Tomlin and Arthur Smith, it's a hard situation to be in, right? Because you want one thing, but then the team wants another thing, and the team is kind of rallying behind another thing. I'm not saying it's the easiest position, but I think it's something you have to think about. You can't just say, "F it, I'm not thinking about the players." And like I said, we know Tomlin's a player coach. Like he's not gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I don't care what you guys think." You know what I mean? I want your input, but right. Ultimately, at the end, you have to do what's best for the team. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I thought it was very telling that Art Rooney came out and said sign either one. He didn't really lean
Mhm.
towards one, right?
Right,
Because
right.
think about it. If he did, if he's going off of what you want, he would have said, okay, we need to sign Justin Fields next year. So then we know, okay, Russell Wilson's out. But he came out kind of like publicly and said, hey, sign either one. So
Yeah.
now that decision goes on the GM and Tomlin and Arthur Smith. Like, okay, so
Mhm.
what do we do?
Yeah.
So
And it should go on them. They're the
right,
guys
right.
that are making the roster decisions. They're the guys
Mhm.
that are, designing game plans. And, but there was also speculation that some of the people in the locker room wanted Fields to start. Like, there's always the people that are going to take sides. Now, I think for me, one thing you'll notice about certain players, I'll use George Pickens for an example. He's going to be frustrated either way. He wasn't happy when Fields was in, and then he was
Right,
happy at first with Russ, but then he didn't start to play well. Then he was frustrated with Russ. Those are just guys that you're going to have in every locker room. You can't
right,
try to make those guys happy. Now, your job as a coach is to find the best way to win games. If we let the players to this, we can't let players decide who's going to be the starting quarterback or the starting left tackle or whatever.
right,
Like,
right, right,
I
right,
understand, like, and that's one of the tough things about being a coach, right? Like, you have to maintain the locker room and you have to like win games.
right.
So I trust the organization. I understand there's been some frustrations, and I think they're deserved frustrations,
Hmm.
but I trust the coaching staff. I trust the front office to make the right decision. And you're just gonna have to deal with whatever the decision is by those guys. Like it's just the way it goes in the NFL or just in sports in general. I'm just not a big fan. Look at the Lakers, for example. Look how much control they've let LeBron have. They drafted his son, who, let's just be real, bro. He should not be in the NBA.
No, he shouldn't. No, no, it was already talked
No,
about this week. Yeah, I mean, and I
no,
watched a little bit of that Sixer game. It was he, to be honest, he looked lost. He looked like
bro.
he looked like remember when we were young, and we always wanted to play with the big kids, and we weren't really ready to play with the big kids. Like, you want to play with the big kids. Like, you think, okay, I can go out there and do that, and then you kind of when you're in the game, like, nah, I can't do what the big kids do because you're just not ready. You're
Yeah.
not, you haven't matured, your body hasn't matured, and you don't have that strength like the other kids, some of the older kids have. Yeah, that's what Bronny looked like the other night. Like, he just looked like he was out of his league. Like,
Yeah.
bro, you should have just probably stayed in college another year or two, developed your game, and then I don't need still know if you would have been an NBA player, but at least like take more time to like develop, right? So I agree with you there. But getting back to the Steelers, um, my thoughts on it is like, look, I agree with you. Fields, is younger, and right, you can give him a deal like Baker, but I think he's very limited when it comes to throwing the ball. And in
But
this
is he
league,
fully developed? Do we know if this his ceiling? Like we thought Sam Darnold was fully developed and Sam Darnold had a great year? Do we is there untapped potential there? Look at Baker. Remember we were off Baker for a while and we're like, oh crap.
yeah, but let's be honest. Darnold and Baker, we knew they could throw the ball. They didn't make good decisions. Let's not never say couldn't throw the ball. Like
Yeah, that's
they just
true.
didn't make good decisions. Like yeah, there are quarterbacks in the league that most quarterbacks in the league, for the most part, can throw the ball and throw it downfield. Are they making the right decisions? No, they weren't making good decisions. Throwing a lot of picks. That's different from can you just really throw it down the field? And I'm just not confident that Justin Fields can do that. And I think in today's game, you got to be able to throw the ball in this league. You can't just rely on your feet and then always just throw it like dink and dunk or
Mm.
think, okay, I'm gonna just use my athleticism every time. Because look at somebody like Lamar Jackson; he can still throw the ball even though he runs a lot.
Yeah,
Same thing
he has a
with
really
Josh
good
Allen;
arm.
they're great
Mhm.
throwers of the ball. Mahomes, even Jalen Hurts, who I know people get on, there's no a lot of yard. He can actually still throw the ball downfield. We've seen him do it. I'm not confident Justin Fields can do that. You know what I mean? So when if I'm a GM or I'm the Steelers, my concern is that yeah, like he's a great athlete and maybe he can develop, but what is this
Mhm.
going to be year 4 for him? And like, how long do we wait? You know what I mean? Like how long am I supposed to have patience for him until what year 5, year
That's
6?
why I think the terms of the deal are important. Like you're not giving him a 5 year deal. You know what I mean? Like you.
Right, right. But I think to me, if you're gonna keep one or two, I'm gonna go with Russ. I
Okay.
just now same thing like you said with the deal. You can give Russ another 1 year deal. No, matter of fact, give him a 2 year deal and give him something in the range of like I know Baker. Well, I wouldn't give him Baker money because Baker's better than Russ.
I think they're both getting $100 million plus contracts.
Right, because
Remember, but comparatively, that is a Baker deal though. So like, yeah, I think
Baker's getting like 130, I think, guaranteed, or
right.
that's
And that's why I'm saying 100 plus. I don't.
right. So
Yeah, they're not going to
I guess you
demand.
could give Russ like what? See, like if like again, I wouldn't sign Russ for 3 years. I would give him like a 2 year deal. So I would give him something like I would personally give him like something like 2 years, $60 million, all guaranteed, because that's 30 million a year. Because Baker's making about 30 million. So I wouldn't give him like the Baker deal, but I would give him about the amount a year that Baker's getting. But I would get like just give him all guaranteed. So 2 years, 60 million. That's what I would do personally. Now,
Would you give Fields a similar deal?
no, I wouldn't, because I think Fields has to more like prove to me that he can again develop by throwing down the field. He hasn't shown that yet. So I mean, now I agree with you. I would probably sign Fields for a longer deal because he's younger, and just to see like if you want to give him 3 years, okay, fine. But I wouldn't give him more than like 25 million a year or something like that. I'm not giving him. I'm not giving him 30 million. You know what I
I
mean?
think for me, as a guy that watched every snap this season, there's some things I definitely do agree with you with. I thought overall Russ had spots where he looked better, especially as a passer, right?
Right.
But I think his limitations were some of the reasons they didn't have success down the down in the final stretch of the season. But like I said earlier, there are ways they can address those issues, and which would make me okay with re-signing Russ. But until they address some of those offensive line issues, they should consider going with Fields. So, what do I think they're going to do? I think ultimately they're going to go with Fields. I do. I think they're going to look at the landscape of that division and how young the QBs are, and I think they want to start focusing more on youth and the future. And once again, I think Darnold is going to be a lot more influential this season than people think. Like, crap, what if we let Fields go and he thrives under somebody else's system and he looks great? Like, we don't want that to happen because a lot of people do still think that potential is there. Is it there? Will it happen? We don't really know. I mean,
Right.
it seems like your gut's probably telling you, like, we've kind of seen what we're going to see. And
No. Yeah.
remember, this is a
I give
guy
a
that's also
quarterback. My
had,
thing is. Oh,
but
I'm
real
sorry.
quick, this is a guy that's also had 4 different coordinators in 4 years. Like,
Right.
there's been no consistency. He was with a dormant franchise with the Bears, as we know. So, have we seen the potential yet? I don't know.
Yeah, because my thing with a quarterback is I'd like to give a quarterback 3 years. Right now, Darnold is an outlier. Right, you're not always going to get a Sam Darnold.
No, you're not.
For the most part, within 3 years, we knew Kenny Pickett didn't have it. He's a backup.
Yeah, no, he didn't have it.
Right? So I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to go somewhere and thrive and we're going to see some untapped potential. That doesn't happen
But
to everybody.
Fields has way more potential than Pickett, though.
I agree, but I'm just saying I don't think it happens with everybody. We can't
No, it doesn't.
Darnold and say, okay, that can happen with Fields. That can happen with all these quarterbacks that maybe we thought weren't good at first and like, oh, they're not that bad. Darnold may just be an outlier, and that's fine. But I think so. The one thing I wanted to bring up to you, there was a scenario put out there that the Steelers should trade T.J. Watt for first round picks. I think 3 or 4 first round picks, and then go through the draft and try to get another quarterback, or you trade T.J. Watt maybe with another good player you have on there, and maybe go after one of these quarterbacks that teams are not like set on, like, okay, we're willing to give him up and start over at the QB position, especially if they're paying them a lot, a la like a Dak or a Trevor Lawrence. Would you be okay with that? Like, what if, like, I'll give you a scenario. Let's say Steelers call the Cowboys tomorrow and say, okay, we'll give you T.J. Watt, George Pickens, and Najee, and for Dak. Would you be okay with that? Oh, I'm sorry, and first round picks. Dak,
that's the key.
Right, yeah. Dak and maybe 2 first round picks. Would you be okay with that?
No, we got to take on Dak's contract, though, right?
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. If you're giving you T.J. Watt, Pickens, I know you were, and Najee, you really weren't.
I hope they move on from Pickens. Najee I'd be open to, but once again, because a lot of Najee's issues is the O-line, it's not him.
Right, exactly. But I know you were saying, I know a lot of people saying they don't think he's going to be back next year.
I don't think he will be.
Yeah. So let's just say for the sake of argument, right, Dallas called, or you called Dallas, and they say, yeah, T.J. Watt, Najee, Pickens, you get Dak, and we'll throw in 2 first round picks.
Yeah. Well, hypothetically, if we're going to be real about this, Najee is about to be a free agent. So, like, let's just say they throw in a draft pick instead of Najee, right?
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Right. Pickens is still on the contract.
Pickens he's about to go into his 4th year. He's about to go into the final year of his rookie deal.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh man.
Before you answer, here's another one, because this was actually brought up. Not that I kind of came up with the Dallas one, but one that was interesting that was brought up was T.J. Watt to Jacksonville for Trevor Lawrence, and I think 2 first round picks and I think they said a 2nd or a 3rd. Would you be okay with that?
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is that good, though. So I wouldn't personally.
I mean, you think he's better than Russ and Justin Fields, though, right?
I think. I mean, we're still going based off of we've seen one good year from Lawrence, and we're still kind of running with that. Personally, I wouldn't do that one. Now, the Dak one intrigues me because I still think Dak's in his prime. I know we've disagreed about this. I just think Dak had an injury, and the Cowboys overall just weren't very good last year.
Right.
Dak's expensive, but so is Trevor Lawrence. He's also expensive.
Or this was also brought up, because I'm saying, I'm giving you a lot of scenarios. Or you don't resign Fields or Wilson at all, and you go after Darnold. Would you do that?
I would rather.
Because here's the thing. I mean, stat-wise, Darnold was better than both of them, right? Now, I know maybe in the bigger picture, you don't think ultimately he's probably going to have a better career than maybe either one. But at least last year, Darnold was better than both of them. So would you go after Darnold and maybe give Darnold that short term? Instead of giving Fields, you say, you know what? Darnold balled last year in Minnesota. Why don't we give him the 3-year, give him the Baker deal, give him like 3-year, $150 million. Would you be okay with that?
It's a tough business, man. This is why I'm not a GM.
I know, right? But these were things that were brought up this week. I was watching different shows, and they were saying, like, the Steelers shouldn't have to be forced to just between Wilson and Russ and Fields. They should, now again, this may not be popular, scenarios, especially for Steeler fans, because I know how much you guys love T.J. Watt, but I think some of the analysts I was watching, they brought up good points of saying, like, you guys always focus on D, right?
Always.
It's like, maybe it's time, like, all right, we got to change it up here. Like, yeah, T.J. Watt is great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer without question. But he's had great years with the Steelers. Obviously, it hasn't really amounted to, like, championships.
Or even playoff wins, no.
Yeah, right. So is it worth just saying, F it, let's move on from him? Thank you for your service. You've been a great Steeler, but we need offense. So you let him go because you're going to get at least maybe 2 first-round picks for him. You know that because he's arguably the best defensive player in the league. He's definitely top 5.
In fact, he's never won a playoff game. Isn't that crazy? He's been in the league since
That's what I'm saying.
2017.
So if you're the Steelers, you're kind of saying to yourself, okay, as great as you are, you haven't really helped us win. So we can kind of move. And you guys have other good linebackers. You got other good defensive, like the guy Highsmith. You have
Nate Herbig is a guy that's
you have other guys. So my thing is do you really need a TJ Watt? And if you can get 2 first-round picks for him, where you can be like, wow, I can get a quarterback, and I may be able to get an offensive line to fix up that line.
Yeah, and I would advise the Steelers to go through the draft if they're going to trade them, but I just don't love the quarterbacks in this draft. I'm not even sure how much I love the guys that are projected to be the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft. I think.
No, excuse me. I was going to say I agree with you with the draft. They said next year is the good.
That's supposed to be the good year. And there's talk about the Steelers having interest in Jalen Milroe out of Alabama, who's I don't watch a lot of college football, but everybody I've asked about him, and if you look at his numbers, they're not good at all.
No, he does a lot of picks. He's kind of like a bigger version of Justin Fields. That's how he plays.
Yeah, but
he doesn't really throw it down the field. He runs more. You know what I mean?
And Fields actually had prolific numbers in college. He was great.
Yeah, he's not a guy I watched a couple Alabama games, and for what I saw is he's great with his obviously getting out the pocket, running, getting with his feet, and he's very strong. He's a big dude for a quarterback, but. Yeah, as far as throwing down the field and he's throwing a lot of picks. One game he threw 5 picks. I'm
16 touchdowns and 11 picks.
One game he was horrible. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, he had 0 touchdowns and 3 picks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was it. Yeah, I think I watched it and I'm like, bro, yeah, he did not look good. So I agree. I wouldn't go the Milroe route.
Unless you're drafting him in the 4th round. I don't care about that. You can draft him.
Then that's fine. That's fine.
To answer your question. I would prefer that they try and I'm still going to stay with Fields, man. I just feel there's still some untapped potential there. He'll have 2 years with the same coordinator for the first time in his career. I'm willing to risk that. I'm not willing to go the Sam Darnold route. Yes, it was a really good year. We saw the collapse at the end, and I think there's a little bit more to that. And the Vikings had a decent amount of talent. He had best receiver in the league on his team too. So
right.
Yeah, it's not easy though, man. These are all tough. These are great scenarios you brought up. The Trevor Lawrence one, he's too expensive, too erratic. I don't think we've seen growth. In fact, I think he's actually gotten worse the last couple of years. Right. I don't know what's happened since that.
The Dak one. The Dak one's intriguing though.
I like Dak, man, but Dak's pricey, and he's coming off another injury.
Right. Yeah.
But now here's the thing: if we hypothetically that happened, who would your guys' quarterback be?
We'll probably draft one. That's just what we have to do. We have no choice.
Who's going to start next year? The rookie, whoever you guys draft?
Probably, because I'm not. As much as I love Cooper Rush, he's not a starter.
Oh, you don't think he could be at least for a year?
Maybe. Okay, you know what? I'll take that. But he could probably be a bridge quarterback. Yeah,
so, I think so.
If it was a bridge quarterback thing, then yes. If it's we'll have Cooper Rush start until we think the rookie's ready. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yes, okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think he's a good plug.
I don't think Trey Lance is good at all. I'm not.
Can he even be in the league?
Thank you. I was going to say that. Yeah, I don't even know if he's a backup. He's a third string.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a guy if you have, you're starting, your backup is hurt. And the backups is just yeah, dog, we're going to run the ball all day. We're not throwing it at one time. Just run the ball. Yeah, it's going to be one of those kind of, I'm not a Trey Lance guy. But good segue because now we can get into the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, they officially hired Brian Schottenheimer as their new coach. Mm-hmm. And they also signed Matt Eberflus as their DC this week.
I actually like that. I think he's a good
DC. Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. I was, get to that. So give me your thoughts on, both hirings. Do you think going forward this is going to be the guy long term? Should we give him a chance? And give me your thoughts on Eberflus as well, with the Schottenheimer thing. So just give me both.
Yeah, Eberflus has always been one of those guys I thought was a better DC than a head coach.
Right.
There's plenty of examples all across the league. I like it. I think he gets to focus on what he's pretty good at. I
Right.
like that hire.
I'm with you on that. I think the D's going to be
I like
good
that
next year.
hire a lot.
That's one thing I'm going to say. You can quote me. What's today's date? The 30th of January.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say I think the D for the Cowboys. Cowboy fans should be excited about the D next year, because I think he's going to definitely be a lot better than Zimmer was. You know what I mean? You can only go up.
So for me, when I look at the Cowboys, right, as a non-Cowboy fan, I still have some faith in the offense, especially if they can address the running game. This is a really, really good running back draft. There's a lot of running backs. So I think that's going to be an issue that's not too hard to fix. Now, you know better than I do. I don't know how the Cowboys O-line is. I feel like it's kind of gotten worse little by little each year.
Yeah, because obviously, look, they lost Tyron Smith last year to the free agency. It sounds like Zach Martin's either going to be moving on or he's going to retire.
Right.
He hasn't decided.
Great career.
Oh, yeah, Hall of Famer. So, the last two drafts we drafted, Tyler Smith, and then I forgot the guy we drafted this past year. Now, Tyler Smith actually is pretty good. He ended up being a Pro Bowler, so that was a good pick. The guy that we just drafted this past year, he did not have a great year at all. I think he led the league, or led the rookies, I think. All rookies
sacks allowed or something.
Yeah, like sacks allowed, penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So he does not look, at least off the first year, he didn't look great. But Tyler Smith is good. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be good for us. I think he's going to end up being like a kind of like a Tyron Smith, kind of career, Hall of Fame career. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like as far as the O line, we're going to have to when Zach Martin either moves on or retires, we're going to have to get him because he's right guard. So we're going to have to get a guard.
Yeah.
If this other lineman that we drafted last year doesn't pan out, we may have to address that as well. I think he was the left. Yeah, he's our left tackle. Yeah, because Tyler Smith's our right, which, like I said, he's good. But yeah, then we have to get another left tackle. You're right. I agree with you. We definitely got to address the running back situation.
I think you guys will. I don't think that's going to be hard.
Yeah, we definitely got to address that. But getting into the whole coaching thing about Schottenheimer, look.
Well, let me finish my.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, you're done. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's the easy thing to say. It's going to be awful. It's a terrible hire. Right. We honestly don't know, man. Like we've also thought guys were great hires. Heck, I know some people that thought Urban Meyer was a great hire for the Jags.
I actually did too.
Maybe we got to start admitting Nick Sirianni wasn't a bad hire.
Right. But go. Remember, we thought Dan Campbell was going to be horrible. Remember at that press conference,
bad hire. Yeah,
this is probably not going to end well.
I don't look. It's the Cowboys, so any decision they make is going to face a lot of rhetoric, whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the. Let's give it a chance. I know he hasn't called plays in a while. I believe he was the Jags.
He's never called plays. I don't think he's ever called plays.
Well, I think he did with the Rams, but it was like a decade ago.
Okay. Because they were saying he's never called plays. I'm like,
it's been a long time. Because with the Jags, I don't believe he did. In fact, I think he was their old coordinator when Urban Meyer was there. That didn't go well. But I don't know how much involved. He wasn't calling plays, I believe.
Right.
But either way, I don't know if you guys are going to hire a new OC. I don't really know.
No, we're not. So apparently he is going to call.
He's going to call plays. Yeah.
Yeah, because he wants to I guess they're saying supposedly prove himself because even though he's the head coach, I guess he didn't want him. Of course, they're saying him and Jerry didn't want to hire an OC where, he's just going to be the coach. I mean, obviously he'll still have input everywhere, but he wants to prove and show people he can call plays.
Okay. So
you know what I mean? So he's going to call the play. So we're not going to have an OC.
Got you. So he's never done it. Doesn't mean he's going to be bad at it.
Right.
He also could suck at it. So
exactly.
I think we should give it a shot. Now, look, you're a Cowboy fan. You're more emotionally invested than I am. But looking at it as a guy that has no hate for the Cowboys. In fact, I think it's great for the league when the Cowboys are good. I am still one of the people that thinks you guys have a solid roster. I think there's a lot of good players on that roster, especially when healthy. Starting with Dak, Micah, Diggs.
Well, Micah, obviously they have to address his contract this summer.
Yeah, he'll get a new deal. I don't think we should worry about that. Jerry really likes him too, so.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You know me. Remember, I picked the Commanders to make the playoffs this year. I'm not always one of those people that believes just because the team got far one year and they made a run with a rookie doesn't mean they're also going to win 12 games next year. Remember, there's a lot of tape on Jaden Daniels now, NFL adjusts extremely well. Look at CJ Stroud kind of had a down year compared to his first year, right? So I'm still not necessarily going to say the Cowboys can't be a solid team next year. I think they can win 10 games. Now, could they also win 6 games? Yeah.
Right, right.
I think Dak is one of those guys that still feels like he's got a lot to prove. He had a really bad year even before he got hurt. If the run game is different, that changes the offense, right? Like if you guys,
right? Oh yeah, I'll let you finish. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I'm almost finished, but yeah, man. I'm going to predict there's a lot of pessimism on your end, and I get it, but I'm also like, let's wait and see, man. What if he's good? What if there's a world where the Cowboys are solid? You've been wrong on the Cowboys before.
I'm going to get you because I'm going to surprise you with my answer. Yeah,
right, I got you. You good?
Yeah, so I'm actually in agreement with you. I'm one of the people that like, let's see what happens.
Well, no, real quick, what made you change your mind? This is a very different.
I think. Of course, I would have loved to have Dion or any of the coaches they talk about, Vrabel, I don't know about Gruden, but like Pete Carroll. Yeah, I would have loved to have those guys. But when I sat back and really thought about it, like like you said, take the emotion out of it, give it time to kind of fester. I'm like, he's an unknown. We don't know. Right? So I'm like, right, you want to be optimistic and have a positive side. Like, what if he ends up being Dan Campbell, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if like he's okay? Let's just say for the season. Let's say for the sake of this season, they win 8 games, 9 games, when they miss the playoffs. I'm gonna be like, okay, well, he showed a little something. Yeah, they didn't make it, but that's better than the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So what if he does that, and then that next year they take that jump? Like, oh damn, he's good. Like they went from 8, 9 wins, now they're at 11 wins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we just have to wait and see. Now, if you're asking me about this coming season, I don't have a lot of faith or like, to say like, oh, we're going to be a playoff team and be good. You're right, because it can go either way. I don't see them winning like, I definitely don't see them winning like 12, 13 games like they've been doing. If anything, if he was to surprise people, I can see him winning like 10 games.
Yeah, I can see 10 and 7. Yep.
Yeah, but then you said they can also win 6 or 7 games. I can see, right?
Now, I think 6 wins is more likely than 12, but I would bet on like 9 or 10.
Right, but I would say this: if he was to win 8 or 9 games in his first year, and then like they missed the playoffs, I'm not gonna be like upset about it. I'm like, okay, because like that's his first year, and it depends on how they were. Obviously to see how they were that year. Like, if the defense was good and they were like their offense was like decent. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't necessarily good. It was just like in between. It's like, okay, well, they won 8, 9 games. They, barely missed the playoffs. Let's see what happens next year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for everything I've heard about him, he's a lot like his dad. Very run heavy. He's a run guy. Now, I don't know if he's like Marty Ball, where
nobody's like Marty Ball.
Like he gets real conservative. I don't know if he's like his dad, because we don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He hasn't coached enough or coached the game where we're like, oh yeah, he's just like his dad. But from everything I've heard, he's like his dad, and I was a big fan of his dad. I liked Marty Schottenheimer.
He won a lot of regular season games.
Exactly. And then I was going to say that, and now I will say this: if he's like his dad, right, and he's cool.
Well, hold up though. If he's like his dad, that means it's going to be a lot of the same Cowboy stuff. He can win in the regular season, but not in the playoffs.
But here's the thing: Marty sometimes at least got to like the champion. He just couldn't get past the championship.
He couldn't get past the over the hump.
So my thing is, I'm gonna be real with you. If Shoddy can get us at least to the
Shoddy.
Yeah, I think that's what Jerry called him. Yeah. So
I like that.
If Shoddy can get us to the NFC Championship game, I'm not complaining. I'm gonna be like, well, first of all, the other 5 coaches couldn't do that after Switzer. So why am I gonna be sitting and complaining like, oh, you can't get past the NFC Championship game? Okay, I'll take that 3 years in a row than freaking what we had the last like 15 years. Like I'm good on that.
You want to get to a title game, man. It's simple.
That's what I just said. Like if he's getting to title games, I'm not gonna be like, oh no, nah. Because first of all, like we didn't even know he was gonna be good. Like then that means that he actually is good, and he just can't get to the Super Bowl. That's a whole lot different. I mean, Lamar and Josh haven't been to a Super Bowl, so I can't really get on if he ends up being that. It's like, well, I'll take that. We haven't done that in 30 years. But I'm with you overall, man. Yeah, it's a clean slate. I'm going to give it a shot, see how he is. Like I said, everything I've heard about him, players like him. I heard he's a really good players coach.
Yeah.
He already has, good rapport with the locker room. Again, I heard he's a lot like his dad. And his dad was also a player. People loved Marty Schottenheimer.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They loved him. So if he's like his dad, I'll take that. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow, this
you
is
know what
one
I
of
mean?
the most shocking things you've ever said on the podcast.
Yeah,
I
if he's like his dad,
expected
I'll
you
take
to.
it. Because like I said, if he could get us at least just to the title game, I'm all in with him. I'm like, yeah, just keep him. Because
I also like this press conference. I don't know, man.
yeah, so I didn't get like I was on X and they were saying like it was weird. I'm like, what was weird about it? He was just saying like first of all he talked about his dad, but that was weird talking about his dad. His dad was a NFL legend, so that's not
Right.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they didn't like what he said. I think we're gonna win multiple like Super Bowls with Dak. But what do you want him to say?
Tomlin said that at his press conference. He's like, "Yeah, we want to win."
Right. So was that weird of Tom?
But I want every coach to say that.
Thank you. So I'm like, well, how was that weird? That's not weird at all.
What are you supposed to say? Yeah, I think we're gonna suck for a while, and then
right.
maybe
Right.
we'll
That's
be
what you're supposed to say. So I didn't get the whole why it was weird and all that. Because now I did some of the comments that Jerry Jones made was kind of weird, and Steven talking about the air quotes and all. I don't know what that was about. But
Jerry's gonna be Jerry, man.
Exactly right. He made. What did he say? He made the statement saying, he was talking about like I can change in this environment, but then he used some kind of thing, and I was
we gotta find this quote.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Jerry. No, but as far as Shoddy was fine. He didn't say anything. Shoddy didn't say anything that was like, oh yeah, that was weird. He just said, to be honest, he said what a typical, like you said, what a coach would say on present, giving confidence that we're going to be good. Yeah, I don't see what was wrong. Now, like I said, Jerry and Steven, yeah, what they said may have been a little off, but yeah, Shoddy was fine. I mean, but like you said, man, I'm giving him a chance. Let's see how it goes. I agree with you. I love the Eberflus hire, so I think that he's going to be good.
Yeah, that's going to be good. I think so.
And again, if he's like his dad and he's run heavy, I kind of like that at least to start because that takes a lot of pressure off Dak. Like you said, Dak's been hurt. All that. If we have a good running back who can, kind of carry us time of possession, I'm all for that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Throw when you have to. You still got CD. You got Ferguson. You got Shoemaker, who I like. I like both our tight ends. You got CD. Hopefully, they can maybe draft somebody to complement CD. Or I don't think they're going to get anybody free agency because they ain't got the money supposedly. But yeah, at least draft somebody you think can complement CD. So yeah, like I said, man, I'm just a wait and see. I don't know. I think, like you say, he's a big mystery to a lot of people, to everybody.
Also, another thing that's interesting, and once again, you watch every Cowboy game, so like, yeah, you want to address the running game, but I feel like Rico Dowell was actually good in spots. Like he wasn't.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. So apparently they may keep Rico Dowell.
At least keep him as a change of pace guy.
Right, yeah. So that's everything I've heard. Like the speculation, a lot of people say, "Oh, he's going to be gone. Somebody else to sign him," which he might. I'm not saying that might not be as a free agent, but from everything I've heard, they're saying that both sides, like he wants to come back, and then they want him back.
And he was a 1,000-yard back average. Dude, he averaged 4.5 yards per carry.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm with keeping Rico Dowell. Because you're not going to have to pay him like a Saquon or anything like that.
But he can't be your main guy.
No. Like, I would still go draft. Like, I mean, the speculation is if he's still there, we're going to draft Alshon, the guy from Boise State.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the rumor.
No, Genty is now. Even if you don't draft Genty, though, like there's so many running backs in this.
No, I know. Like you said, it is a good running back thing, but I guess that's the rumor. If he's still there, that's where
Genty. See, Genty might even be a second-day pick because running backs don't really go first round as much anymore. But there's speculation.
Well, they're saying the Cowboys might take a running back in the first round. He would be the guy,
right? But if
he's the highest, I think he's the highest grade running back in the draft.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's speculation that hypothetically that. I don't know if you guys decide to go a different route. He could be available day 2 as well. So
yeah, that's true. Or another good running back.
Getting him day 2, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Or like you said, other good running backs that are in this draft.
Yeah, there's a ton. They're saying this is one of the deepest running back classes in like a decade.
Yeah. So I'm listen, I'm all for that. If they're run heavy, taking pressure off Dak, play action kind of stuff, throw when you have to. I'm all for it because I'm about. If we're running the ball effectively, that sets everything else up, and that's time of possession. You know what I mean? So if it takes 10 plays, 12 plays, that's fine with me. As long as we're winning and kind of controlling the game, and like I said, time of possession, I'm okay with that offense. You know what I mean? I know that sounds boring. It's not throwing downfield, throwing deep, but at this point, I've seen that already with the Cowboys. It didn't prove anything. We couldn't get past the divisional round. We couldn't even get to the title game with that. So if we could change it up and maybe we be more run heavy and play good D, and we can get there that way, I'm all for that. I don't care. Just get it done. So yeah, but before we get out of here, man, it's funny. Like I've never seen where there's a coaching vacancy been open this long where people are just left and right, like pulling out, turning it down. So obviously we're talking about the New Orleans Saints job. We're recording this on Thursday, January 30th. Now, earlier today, there is at least rumors or speculation that they're close to a deal to make Kellen Moore the Philadelphia Eagles.
Good for him, man. Good for him.
The next head coach. But Kwab, before we get into that, just give me your thoughts on why do you think so many coaches dropped out, and why this is not an attractive job? And like I said, I mean, this is still an NFL job. You know what I mean? This is not like you're going like in college when you're going to Pepperdine State or something like that. I get that, but this is still an NFL job, and the Saints were good not too long ago. It wasn't like 20 years ago they haven't been good. They were good not too long ago. So what do you think it is why a lot of candidates or a lot of, I guess, coaches are pulling out?
Well, I think one of the main things I look at is their cap situation, right? They're actually worse than the league. They're going to be $54 million over the cap.
Wait, they're worse than the Cowboys?
They're going to be $54 million over the cap, bro.
Who are they paying?
Well,
they're not really paying Derek Carr. I don't get that.
Yeah, but there's this like whether it's your DeMario Davises or your Cam Jordans, there's a lot of your Kamaras. There's a lot of guys just getting paid there, and they're not producing, so they don't really have a lot of space to build. Now you could cut Carr, but that's going to be go against the cap hit, so you can't do that. And is Carr the issue? I mean, you know how I felt about Carr. I was like, he's not bad, but is he?
Yeah, I always thought he was. I always thought he was better than what you said he is. But I'm starting to kind of come around to your,
especially at this point of his career.
Yeah. Because he started the season really good. I was like, okay, like you know what I mean. Like when they were like, I think they were like 3 or 4, and I'm like, maybe this is the year we kind of start to see that Carter I thought he was, and then obviously he wasn't.
Dude, so as of right now, the Saints are last in caps. They're worst cap situation. They're going to be $54 million over the cap going into this upcoming season. Now, of course, things are still going to happen in the offseason. Followed by the Browns at 30, the Seahawks at 27. You guys are the 6th worst. You're not even. There's 5 teams that are in worse spots.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we're not even in the top 5.
Yeah, this is according to overthecap.com, which is a pretty credible site. But yeah, just the cap situation. Now, the reason I thought people would be a little bit more attracted to it, because that division's not that great. I mean, the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Bucks are cool, but the Bucks are like 10-win good. They're not going to win 14 games. They're like
no.
In any other division, they'd be like barely making it, or they'd be like a wild card team. It's like the 7th spot, though.
Right. It'd be like
this season. Think about it. If they were in any other division, 10 wins wouldn't have made the playoffs because the Packers were the 7th seed with 11 wins.
That's crazy.
Yeah, NFC has some good teams this year, man. Although a lot of them fizzled out, especially in the NFC North. Dang, all those teams were one and done.
Yeah, because didn't the Rams win the division with 10 wins too? Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, man. So, I think it's a combination of the cap situation, what's going on at quarterback. And just it sucks, man, because that franchise for a long time with Drew Brees was such a fun team and such a Super Bowl contenders almost every year with Sean Payton there. But I think it's really just that. I don't think coaches really feel like there's much wiggle room, especially for the future. You really have to depend on the draft. And we know that if you're solely dependent on the draft, typically that doesn't equate to good things. So
because it's 50-50.
It's very 50-50. It's probably less than that. It's probably 40-60 as far as like the guys aren't going to hit. Yeah, it's tough, man. You look at any draft, there's most of the first round guys are, they stay in the league for a little bit, but they don't end up being great players.
Right.
But I think it's just really that.
Because I'm like, New Orleans is a city. I love New Orleans as a city.
New Orleans is cool.
I always think somebody's like, I'm not feeling the city, so I'm good. But
that's why I'm actually glad Kellen Moore is taking that job. First of all, it's still an NFL coaching gig. I mean, I'm surprised that the Jets got a hire before the Saints, though. I mean, the Jets you still have a terrible owner. I mean, is it Mickey Loomis with the Saints?
No, is it Benson? I thought it was Benson.
Well, Loomis is the GM. I might be getting that.
Yeah, because I think that's the GM. Because what's the name? Benson, the lady Benson, her husband was she inherited the team.
Yeah, so Mickey Loomis is the GM, and I think
Right.
Loomis is solid. I don't, he's not a no.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a reputation as being somebody that's like
And then I was
hard
going to say
working.
the owner that I heard she's like doesn't get involved at all. Like she just
Yeah,
lets them. She
yeah.
only gets like I guess when she has to pay people, but like I heard she's kind of very like kind of like how Rooney is like very.
Yeah,
She doesn't really meddle or anything because she doesn't because that
to
was her.
me, right. So to me, after I look at the roster, the most important thing to me is who the GM is. The GM actually might be the most important over the roster because rosters go through overhauls pretty much every
Right? Do you
season.
think Mickey Loomis is a bad? Wasn't he there with Peyton and
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm
yeah.
surprised that job has been so hard to fill because I feel like Loomis is like solid, you know.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm the Saints. Like I said, I'm thinking about the city and just the Saints. I'm like, yeah, it's not like they were
Great fan
terrible.
base. Great fan
Yeah,
base.
that's I'm like, why would nobody come in there now? Maybe like you said, cap space.
Yeah.
The who's going to be the quarterback? Maybe that all went into people's heads. Like, well, yeah, what do I have to work with here?
Now you can blame Loomis for a lot of the. I mean, if a team's in a bad cap situation, a lot of that blame should go on the GM.
Right, that's true.
You look at the teams that are in a good spot, bro. If the Patriots with Vrabel, dude, they have $120 million under the cap. They have so much money. The Raiders, how about the Commanders being 86 under, as good as they were. Ooh, if they have a smart offseason, the Commanders can really, really add some firepower to that team, man.
They can, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go back to what I kind of hear all your points of maybe why they weren't getting what I mean, candidates or like coaches coming in saying, "Nah, I'm good." You know what I mean? You're right. If they have the worst cap situation, and then on top of that, you don't really know who your quarterback's going to be. That can kind of, I guess, be the decision.
Can't have both. If you're gonna
right, you'll have one.
If you're gonna have a quarterback that's like, well, at least we got bread. You can't be bad.
Right.
You can't have questions at both.
Right, I got you. Maybe that was it. But yeah, getting to Kellen Moore, if obviously, like I said, this is speculation. He hasn't officially got the job yet, or there are rumors that he's going to be. But I would say if they do end up getting Kellen Moore, first of all, I'm very happy for Kellen Moore.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
He's been a coaching candidate now for probably 3-4 years now.
What are your thoughts on him as a coordinator overall? Like pros and cons. Like what should Saints potentially have to look for, good and bad?
I would say the good. He's very creative and he's a really good play caller. Okay. As far as like I think he's creative. Like he's a very good play caller. He knows when to call the right plays at the right time. I think the one negative is that he has to have certain players in his kind of system.
Oh, so he needs guys to make it go. Yeah. It's
right.
He's not a plug and play coordinator.
Say it again.
He's not a plug and play like people think Ben Johnson can have anybody.
He can't just make like a quarterback good, right? Even though I would say Dak had some of his best years under him. But like obviously Jalen Hurts didn't have a great year under him, but the one thing I will say about him is that he's really good with the running game because you notice he had Zeke in his prime, and now he has Saquon in his prime. And I think the reason why it didn't work out with the Chargers was last year. Well, first, he had Brandon Staley as a coach, so that was already a negative. But then on top of that, they didn't really have a legit good running back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think with him, his whole thing starts with the run. And he does everything off the run, like play action. And he tries to get creative with some of even like when he's throwing downfield. Again, we had him when we had Zeke in his prime, when Dak was playing well, pre-injury. So yeah, I mean we had great years with them, and I just think the Saints, you're gonna have to get skill players. I like Kamara. Kamara's still good, so I think he'll be able to use Kamara in a lot of ways. But who's his quarterback? I don't know who his quarterback's going to be. And I think they have good receivers. I like Olivier, who's there. And they have that other guy who's there. I just can't remember his name, but
Olave is one of the better young receivers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they have that. So he has weapons. It's just who's his quarterback going to be? And yeah, I mean, could these guys play in his system? Because I know he is like a system-driven guy. Because like I said, the thing about the Eagles this year, they went from like really the last 2 years being a passing team to now this whole year they were a run team.
Yeah.
They were the top with one of the top 3 or top 5 in rushing. So they weren't that the last 2 years. Even that year when they went to Super Bowl, they weren't. Jalen Hurts I think led them in rushing. So it's like, yeah. So that's one thing with him. Like he's definitely going to be good with the run game, and everything's going to come off the run game. Again, it just depends on quarterback and couldn't these players play in couldn't they be in the system? But I'm happy for him overall.
Yeah, and this quarterback situation isn't like terrible. It's just like
right. I mean, if they don't have Carr, I'm not going with Rattler. Rattler's not good.
Well, you said it too. You're like, yeah, he's not going to be good.
No, yeah. Just like y'all get on me for like getting on Desmond Ritter. I told y'all he wasn't going to be good. I'm like, no, he's not good. Ritter?
You were like Ritter?
Yeah, I'm like, no, he's pretty good. Yeah, like no. I'm like,
yeah, you were right. I was like, no, you might be all right. You're like, no.
Yeah, no. Penix looks good for the Falcons.
I think Penix is going to be good.
Yeah, but yeah, man. But I'm happy for him overall. Like I said, man, I'm just
hopefully it works out. We'll see.
Right, it works out, and I think. So the one thing I will say about the Saints, they will give him a chance. Because remember, they went Dennis Allen for 3 years. I mean, they found him in the 3rd year, but they'll give like
deservingly so.
Exactly. So my thing is with Kellen Moore, they'll give him at least 3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
He's not going to be a one and done or two and he'll get at least 3 years. And
especially since it's his first job, like
right,
they understand the cap situation. Like they're going to have to give him a little time with that. Yeah,
exactly. And let's just for the sake of argument, again, they're a team that wins 8 or 9 games and barely misses. That's a win for them. I think that's a good.
That might win the division.
right.
Good. You win 9 games. Yeah. If you remember, the winner won 10 games. Like, are we sure the Bucks won 10 or they win 9 games? I think
they were 10-7.
Yeah,
because
you're right there. You're right in the mix.
Yeah, yes, you're right. You're right there. So I'm saying, so if they do that in their first year with Derek Carr or whoever the quarterback is going to be, like I think that's a win. You know what I mean? Even if they don't make the playoffs, that's a win. So yeah, we just like I said, they'll give him time, and like I said, I'm just happy for him. It's just he's deserving of it. And, of this. So, yeah. All right, man. That's gonna wrap it for the 110th episode of Brothers Got Next.
Oh man!
Like I said, next week we're gonna be getting Kwab live from Vegas with a special guest, and we're gonna give our Super Bowl predictions. Who wins? Who's the MVP? Y'all know if y'all know how I've been talking this whole year, y'all already know who I'm picking. You know what I mean? A wise man named Nicholas Charles Patterson told me, "Don't bet against the Swifties." So you can kind of tell where I'm leaning towards with that. But yeah, man, we'll do it again next week, man. Peace.